All right, so we're all set and ready to go. So I was just to summarize saying that the most important step towards decentralization on the Accurate side is also the ability to have third-party collators, and that's why last week we started this really important step. The step we didn't do it before because during development, as soon as you start involving more and more people, you will have a slowdown. And during development in the beginning, the protocol was also evolving way faster. Now, however, we are at a stage where the protocol is quite stable. We just had our 300 million transaction and are ready to take this really important step. First on Canary Net, which is the network that most people are using today, but then also on the mainnet, which is the network that is going to be launching really, really soon. The idea behind the Collator program is as well to test the skills and capacity and quality of the service provided by the people, and ultimately then have a initial selection for the mainnet. We opened up an application form, and if you're interested in joining as a collator and provide this important piece of infrastructure, you should consider applying to that application form. It has various questions. We already have many applicants, and we'll go through them this week and already perform a first selection by the end of the week. The way we select is quite faceted. We have various kind of criteria. One of the criteria is that we want to have collators from all around the globe. So we are trying to not concentrate all of the collators in a specific region of the world, but really have people spread all around the globe. From the applications that we received, it really looks like this requirement is something that we can cover easily with the people that are there, and we're really excited about that. Another of the really important criteria is as well the skill set that you ultimately have in running this and monitoring the uptime of your collator. This is a piece of infrastructure which is really important to the network, because if ultimately you are selected as a collator and you're no longer performing your duties, you will slow down the network. That's something that we don't want to have. You can run a collator from a local virtual private server. You can also run a collator from a dedicated server. This is not necessarily the most important selection point, but what I will say is that we will make sure that not everybody is, let's say, just hosting on AWS or Google or something like that. So the diversity of the infrastructure is also really, really important to us, besides of the diversity of where you are from a geolocation perspective. To be able to run the collator, the first thing that you need to do is run a node. The node will take about a week to sync, and the main, let's say, kind of requirement that you have is the requirement of IO and storage ultimately. On the rest, it is not as heavy. although the network is really quite active, and we have multiple million transactions a day, where these processors are heart beating, and that needs to be included in those blocks, basically. So let me see here. That's on the minimum spec side. Maybe this is something that I will need to get back to you, because I really don't know the minimum specs. I do know that with an 8 GB RAM machine and a couple of hundred gigabytes of storage, you're good to go. But I don't know what the real minimum specs are. Also for the collator, I don't think that you should aim for the minimal specs. I think that if you're going with something like reasonable, that would work pretty well. This moment in time where you would get selected for the Canary Net is, by the way, also a moment where you are able to really gain experience on what kind of hardware works, what is reliable, what is not reliable, and so on and so forth. So basically what will happen next is that the first set of collators will be selected and activated, and then we'll also activate the next set, and we'll monitor closely how everything works, solve all sorts of technical issues if there are any, and then have kind of a test phase where we see which service and which collator really is running in a reliable way. During the test phase, it's important that you really have monitoring and everything set up, because based on the outcome of that test phase, we will decide whether you will be among the initial 8 selected collators for the mainnet. So we will start the mainnet with 8 collators, and this will then be expanded to 16 later on. But the mainnet really is something where, on block 1, it will be 8 collators that will later on then be expanded pretty shortly. Yes. When will they be chosen? So wait. So yes, you can ask a question on microphone, but let's first go on the question of when it will be chosen. The selection of now for the testnet phase happens already this week, so you should start getting requests and notified if you got selected. And then next week, you will be able to share with us your collator address so that we can then include it in the set of collators for the Canary network. All right, Akram, the stage is yours. Go.
Thank you, Alessandro. So just to get back to the last thing you said, I was waiting for full sync to submit my application. So should I just do it and then give you the info later when I do full sync? I use the address.
Yeah, absolutely. So my suggestion is that you should definitely submit already the form. Maybe you can also make a quick note where you say that you will be doing, well, you're still in the process of doing the upgrade and the full sync, right? And then once you have that and you have your collator address, we can start integrating that as well.
Perfect.
Now,
okay, so okay, that was not actually my question. That was
okay.
just don't want to. So the important thing is that I live in a country where I can't use like servers to do anything crypto in my home. So I rent physical, uh, not virtual, physical servers, but outside the country from cloud providers. Is that still allowed, or should I just abandon the idea?
No, that is still allowed. We will, however, consider the physical location of the provider, and also if it ends up that most people are using the same providers, we will favor the people that are using different providers. So yeah, we don't want to end up in a situation where we have 30% of the nodes being hosted on AWS ultimately.
Yeah, totally understandable. Last question about the locations. I can choose multiple. Is England one that is good, or should I seek another location?
Um, I mean, for us, okay, so you can just specify in the ticket or in the submission form which other location you have, and just select your preferred location, and we will then consider that as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Akram. Great to have you on board. So Tobe, which I think is Toby, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the question is what happens when the eight go down simultaneously. So the way you can think about correlators is that they produce the blocks that then are validated by the relay chain validators. So if eight are going down simultaneously, we will still have two from the accurate association. But what will effectively happen is that the block production would slow down massively, because then you only produce in two out of the 10 times a block. That's why it's really important to have those collators up and running all of the time. It's not a security issue, but it's more kind of a liveliness issue that we need to solve. Then Dante, I see that your question is, wait, here. I see that your question is, will there be any rewards for running collators? Yes, there will. How many collators are you aiming for? We're aiming for 8 to start on the mainnet, and will then quite shortly expand that to many more. The mainnet will also work in a bit of a different way, where ultimately you have a leader list based on stake that selects the top collators based on stake. This means that if we say we have 8, it will select the top 8. If we say we have 16, it will select the top 16. But that's another discussion for mainnet then. How do you ensure that collators provide the minimum SLA to the mainnet? If a collator basically stops producing blocks, is not alive anymore, this leader list that I was mentioning before will just give the slot of the collator that is no longer alive to another one in the leader list. This ensures that, basically you have always liveliness of the mainnet. Then Kevin, and this is one of the more exciting questions for me. Can I run a collator on a phone? So in the short term, right now, this is not possible. So all the guides are for a Linux-based server. However, we are already cross-compiling the node and the collator to be able to run it on the phone. And the idea is that long-term, definitely all of the collator run on Accurist hardware itself. This does not only give us the advantage of leveraging this decentralized compute network, but also gives us the advantage of running securely in a trusted execution environment that will make sure that no one can tamper with the selection of transactions that get included in the block. So, long story short, there are many reasons why we want this to be run on the phone. And there is one reason why we cannot start immediately with this vision. And the reason why is that it's simply another kind of development that we are currently not focusing on as a team, because there is plenty of other things that are coming up for the mainnet. But this will be one of the priorities to basically then at some point start replacing the server-based collators with phone-based collators that are running on Accurist. And I tell you what, the other idea is as well to even expand this further to not just run collator services for Accurist, but run collator services also for other blockchains out there. Cool. Rick James Edwards. Since we are now in Q3, which is the scheduled release of TGE, is there any plan to reward the early adopters aside from what we are just rightfully earning in exchange of running resources? This means running Accurist processors on phone, electricity, broadband use, maintenance cost, countless hours spent for making sure everything is working properly. Something like exchanging more ACUs for an early earned CACU. Or will it just be a one-to-one conversion? All right, so the I hear you here, right? It is important, all of the work that has been put in really early on from the community and by the community, such that the project and protocol could grow to the scale that it grew today. But when it comes to early CACU versus kind of CACUs earned now, you are already ahead of the people that start onboarding devices only today, right? Just by the simple fact that they will not be able to profit from the bootstrapping campaign any longer. And by now, the change towards a benchmark-based rewarding is really imminent and will come up. So you are already favored for that really important work from day one, just by the simple fact that you had the chance to also earn way more CACU than anybody else could now. This is just the CACU topic. There is also another topic, which is the whole MIST program, which is something that shouldn't be just disregarded, because we will want to also reward people participating on the MIST side. Obviously, you're able to earn more MISTs if you're running with processors and so on and so forth. So that's yet another incentive on that side. The clear mechanics have not been fully specified yet and will be communicated definitely before the mainnet launch and definitely shortly. So that is what I can say so far. Then Dante Lam, it's impossible for one-to-one. We'll see. we'll see what that mechanics ultimately will look like. And one thing that needs to be clear is that we understand fully how valuable the community is, and that we got here just because of the community, and the protocol basically lives and grows because of that. The mechanics, however, is not really simple to specify, because you need to think long term on how the protocol and also those early contributors can ultimately have a solution that creates the most possible success for all of them. Then turn it on. Regarding the benchmarking tool, can we also have a mobile app version of it, just like what you mentioned in the recent AMA, where we can easily download and install from the Play Store and simply run the Android device of it, like run this on devices, even in a phone shop? This would be very useful, so that when you're on quest for the best bang for the buck phone available in your area, then you can basically utilize that. Yes, this is going to be released really, really soon. I already saw the implementation of this. So if not next week, it will be the week after that this will hit the app stores as well. So yeah, that's not something that got forgotten. It's definitely something that will happen. All right, then from Dante Lam, any tentative timeline for this Collator phone feature this year or next year? Damn, that means we're gonna need much higher phone specs by then. Well, so I mean, yes, this is something that we will want to launch sooner rather than later. I think that, however, realistically, it will launch early next year. Just if I take a look at the roadmap that we have for this year, I could really see how this will gain more importance, especially because we will have this tactical solution of collators running on servers. But it's definitely the ambition to move quickly on that side of things. When it comes to the phone specs, please don't underestimate what kind of compute you're providing to the network, because these phones have some of the best single core performance out there, period, better than servers, actually. Also, you are running bare metal. This means it's not virtualized. And these phones have things like 8 to 24 gigs of RAM, which is plenty to run those collators. There are challenges, obviously, on the bandwidth side, how you connect the phone to the internet, and all of that stuff that we need to consider. But the raw performance of the device is not an issue. Just to say that clearly as well. All right, Akram is getting excited about the phones. Yeah, I'm also super excited about that. And then Rick James Edwards, I see that, by the way, we're running out of time here, and I will take these questions that we have, and then probably wrap up the call. Does the Acros processor app screen need to be active and turned on all the time? And does turning off the screen affect the hourly rewards, any connectivity issue, or cause any connectivity issue? So if you have the app running in the foreground all the time, and basically with the dimmed and black screen, that will yield the best performance, meaning that you will not skip any heartbeats, and ultimately also have the best hourly rewards. If the device has a lock screen in front of the application, what happens is that the device will also stop offering performance to the Acros processor. This means that ultimately you will be skipping more and more rewards. But this depends on the phone model that you have. So the best scenario is to really have the screen dimmed to the minimum with this black overlay, but still have the phone running the application in the foreground. All right, then Kevin Vinci, you already know there are ways to use an Android with Linux OS, so I could try running an Acros node on my phone by now even. So you're maybe referring to Termux, right? That would actually be a super interesting experiment to do. I also know that now with Android 16, you will have a full Linux subsystem. That would be another really interesting thing to look at. Yeah, I mean, if you could check that out and report back, would be awesome. Then again, Rick James Edwards, who among the Acros team members has the highest number of Acros processor on their own rig? Which phones, in terms of brand and model, is the most preferred by the team aside from Google Pixel phones? I think that Andy or Marcus have the largest setups, and they have about 40 devices from the last numbers that I have in mind. But they also keep on adding devices, so I don't know if that number is already outdated that I have in my mind. The brands that really work well, obviously you're mentioning one of them, which is the Google Pixel phone. That is a brand that we love because of the security that it offers. But what we've also seen, especially for the large language model use cases, is that devices with Snapdragon 8 of the first, second, and third generation, so Oppo, OnePlus, even Asus devices are super powerful for LLMs to be running on those. So that is yeah, quite interesting on that side. Akram, 1 terabyte of storage on the phone, that's a pretty big chain. I don't believe that you need to store in archive the full blockchain. So ultimately, you will be able to get away with less storage on that side. Dantelam, out of curiosity, why are there sudden surge in deployments running? Who are these guys? Are these Acros clients? What happened was that because of the CoinList sale, we got a lot of visibility also outside of the existing communities. And one of those companies is a Web2 company that identified our compute and reached out and now really started deploying at scale more and more stuff. Yes, they are clients of the Acros protocol. They are utilizing this for productive use cases. And we will create a blog post and announce the partnership really shortly. However, I can already see in the chats that some people spotted already who those guys are. So if you read in the chat, you will be able to also learn more about that. But an official announcement will be coming on that side. Then will Acros be available also for old phones with old Android versions like Android 10 or less? Because I can't install Acros on many of the phones that I don't use anymore. There is an ongoing R&D project. So first of all, why does Android 10 not work? It's because we're not getting a security attestation for those devices. Now, this does not mean that they wouldn't have the hardware for it, but it means that basically the whole attestation chain has given up on those devices. We do have a project ongoing that is analyzing whether we're able to create an own Accurist specific custom ROM, which would then ultimately also allow these devices to be reactivated. But that is really in a very experimental stage at the moment. So I don't want to give wrong hopes or false hopes on that side. But yeah, we are looking at potentially having something there, but your best bet is really to use devices of Android 12 and later, which ultimately are devices that also are quite yeah, old by now. All right, now I'll take these last two questions and then we will wrap up. So at the moment, it's already consuming 300 gigabytes with pruning. I will need to ask Mike what the best settings are on that side. It is possible that you do require quite a lot of storage because it is a very active chain, but many of the activities around the heartbeats of these devices, and those heartbeats don't like always change the same storage. That's why I have the intuition that while the chain is large, the actual storage used can be quite small as well. Then Dante, I'd like to test to run an LLM on Accurist. Any guides? Yes, there is a guide. If you go on docs.accurist.com, there is this one. That's basically one of the guides. If you hit any blocker testing this, just reach out. And then we can work out. Just when running LLMs, you preferably want devices with more RAM, because then it allows you to also run bigger models on those devices. All right, then Rick. What is the ideal specs to use for a collator? I don't know myself. I will need to ask in the team, but let me get back to that question. And then will it be chargeable to run this LLM in future? Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, we are building services that we don't expect to give out for free, and people will want to pay for those services, just like the people that are currently deploying stuff are paying for those services. And in percent, how much processing power does Accurate Lite take in phones on average? Well, this depends on the deployment. If you have a deployment such as an LLM, it will basically take all of the computing power that it gets. If you have something more lightweight, like hosting a static website, it will not use much. So it really depends on the deployment that you have. It can potentially use all of your computing power. Cool. So with that being said, I'd like to wrap up this session. Thank you so much for also your understanding of the little hiccup we had with Discord earlier. I think this really worked out well. Also, a lot of super interesting questions on that side. So yeah, thank you for participating, and I hope we managed to cover all the questions that you had. And if not, always reach out in the chats. We will do other AMAs. I think, this really gives a good opportunity if we don't have technical issues for people to get their questions answered quickly. All right. Then, yeah, enjoy the rest of your day and see you around in the chats. Bye-bye.